Bobby Beausoleil, the archetypal Luciferian rebel, presently sits behind prison walls as he has for the past 30 years. His notoriety primarily stems from a brief association with Charles Manson, and it was Beausoleil's naive idolization of the biker gangs who frequented Manson's Spawn Ranch hideout that led to his downfall, in which he fatally stabbed a drug dealer after a botched exchange of psychedelics. Contrary to the image presented in Helter Skelter trials, in which prosecutors depicted all of Manson's associates as hypnotized automatons, Beausoleil can be described as a free spirit with a will and a mind of his own. The attraction between Beausoleil and Manson largely came from music. Charles Manson was a friend of Dennis Wilson's and wrote a song recorded by the Beach Boys. Beausoleil performed in several psychedelic bands, collaborating with notable musicians like Arthur Lee and David LaFlamme of the band It's a Beautiful Day. That's from inaugurator of the Pleasure Dome, Bobby Beausoleil, by Michael Moynihan, which is in Apocalypse Culture 2, edited by Adam Parfrey. Feral House book, very strange, bizarre collection of essays. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. I wanted to talk about Wikileaks because there's been a lot of people commenting about this, and I've had a couple of requests from viewers of my videos to do a take on this. Now, as many of you know, I did a video on Wikileaks before whenever they released the Afghanistan war logs, and it seemed to me at that time that the Afghanistan war logs, because they were detrimental to the United States, because they made the United States look foolish and stupid and irresponsible in their actions, that it lent credibility to WikiLeaks information. So I was generally supportive of the idea. In retrospect, well, of course, hindsight is always 20/20. So in retrospect, I look back and I see that what happens when you set up a scapegoat for the release of information, that is a controlled release. You often give out some tantalizing information at first in order to compromise that source later. And this is what I think is happening with WikiLeaks. Whoever it is that is releasing this information from within government agencies to Assange or whoever it is that he's working for has been compromised or was themselves a government agent working on a limited hangout, because a lot of the things that we see in WikiLeaks now is exactly what you would expect in information that is released to, let's say, not, it's like government issued propaganda, basically. Okay? A lot of the stuff that one might call damaging is stuff that's pretty much out there in the public anyway, and there's no sense in putting up a false front to try to deny it. And the rest of it is pretty much along the lines of where the administration wants it to be. So, you know, the question then comes down to whether or not WikiLeaks has been this way from the very beginning, that it's been set up to draw people down a path in order to give a certain impression as an end result. And naturally, a couple people have noticed, you know, the commentary on Iran and North Korea and everything like that supports the administration's position. Same with Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden, which you know, is ludicrous in the extreme. Any intelligence is being passed right now, as far as I'm concerned, on Osama bin Laden and supposed Al-Qaeda is completely made up fucking bullshit. Because if there ever was a group that could loosely be called Al-Qaeda, it was run, strictly speaking, by the CIA in Afghanistan against the Russians. and that there is no actual terrorist group called Al-Qaeda. It doesn't exist. It never existed. And it certainly never did 9/11. And as far as Osama bin Laden goes, dead. Been dead for years. Anything that is coming out of the government right now that supports the idea that Al-Qaeda is real and it poses a threat and it's an actual terrorist organization that's run by Osama bin Laden is fucking bullshit as far as I'm concerned. So this is where this has led us. Okay? The question is, has it been a sham the entire time? And I don't know. I don't know if it's been a sham the entire time. It could be that whoever was releasing this information was turned. It could be that it was designed to be a limited hangout in the first place. Now, it could have been a test. Look at it this way. It could have been controlled from the very beginning, including the Afghanistan war logs, and I'll give you a good case in point why this would be the case. We had a significant anti-war movement in this country. And it was starting to build some momentum until what? Until what, ladies and gentlemen? Until fucking President Obama came into office. Suddenly, you could hear the fucking crickets chirping for the lack of any motherfucking anti-war movement in this country. Totally fucking silent. Now, in keeping in line with the revelation of the method, what the powers that be do is they put out information to test the fucking waters. So what happens here? Wikileaks releases the Afghanistan war logs showing real, actual bad things that the United States is doing in Afghanistan, supporting the idea that we need to get the fuck out of there. And what did that produce in result? Nothing! The anti-war crowds are still fucking silent! Except for Cindy Sheehan, I will give her full props. So, as an exercise in the revelation of the method, it worked brilliantly because it threw out this information and said, here, this is what we're doing. Come on, if you want to come take us on, do it. Chirp! Fucking chirp! So, I am led to believe because of this that WikiLeaks now, in retrospect, in hindsight, because it is 2020, that this was a limited operation from the very beginning. I don't know whether Assange is involved. I don't know whether the people who are behind him is involved. But certainly whoever's releasing this information is controlled by the government. And so in the future, I suggest that WikiLeaks be disregarded as a source for information. Insofar as you would disregard, the mainstream media. So that's my take on that. Thank you.